Welcome to MotivationAddict.com with Julie Saillant. This is where you will find inspiring stories on how to motivate yourself and gain momentum towards success, turning fear into confidence, and how to find divine flow, allowing you to crush your goals. Thank you for being here. And now, let's tune in to today's show.
Hey everyone, Julie Saillant from Motivation Addict. Thank you so much for being here. I have an awesome show for you today. I am going to be talking with Dr. Cheryl Scheurer. She grew up in a creative entrepreneurial family. She managed her own accounting and tax business for over 17 years. And when she became a single parent, she went back to the corporate world as a financial consultant and management. Her experience exposed her to the dark side of wealth, as ethics, integrity violations, and illegal behavior were surrounding her. She came out against that. And she wrote a book called Wealth Transformation, Integrity, which became the basis of her long-running TV show, Wake Up with Dr. Cheryl. She has a BS in Business Administration, MBA in Finance, and PhD in Financial Management and Business Administration. So today, we're going to talk about wealth transformation, wealth blocks, integrity, and really how you can improve your life and surround yourself with integrity-driven people and really get your money to work for you. I know you'll enjoy this show. I love talking with Dr. Scheurer, and we'll see you on the inside. Enjoy. Hi, everyone. I'm Julie Saillant from MotivationAddict.com. I am super excited today. I have a wonderful guest. I've been so excited that she's come on the show and honored that she's here. Her name is Dr. Cheryl Scheurer, and I'm looking away because I want to read a little bit of her bio to you. She managed her own accounting and tax business for over 17 years, and she went back to the corporate world as a financial consultant and management, and she has a lot of experience on the dark side of wealth. Today we're going to be talking about wealth and ethics, integrity, blocks, lots of good stuff to talk about. So for over 7 years, she's had a TV program, Wake Up with Dr. Cheryl, and she has a BS in Business Administration, MBA in Finance, a PhD in Financial Management and Business Administration, and an all-around awesome person. So thank you for being here, Dr. Cheryl. I'm so happy you're here.
Julie, I'm so excited to be here too, and thank you. I know we connected at the New Media Summit, and I felt that energy just immediately with you. So
awesome.
Thank you for this opportunity.
Oh, thank you for being here. I really appreciate it. I'm honored that you spent some time with us. I know that our listeners are going to get a lot out of what you say today. So can you start out by telling us a little bit about what you do?
Well, what do I do? You mean right now, or do you want a history, or what?
I mean, maybe tell us a little bit about your past and then how you transitioned into how you're helping clients today.
Okay. Well, I grew up with my father being an engineer with Boeing, but he was laid off. And when I was 14, he became an entrepreneur. So I got involved with that, which kind of gave me, no pun intended, because it was the auto business, but the nuts and bolts of business. It's not even a business I wanted to stay in, but I was there for probably 9 years or so, from the age of 14. And then I went into banking for 4 years, playing that game. I was only 17, 18, 19 years old. And then, I started working for a construction company, and I realized, oh my God, I've got to start my own business. So when, I don't know how old I was, I guess in my early 20s, I started my own bookkeeping, and then it advanced to getting, into board meetings and establishing letters of credit and lines of credit, etc. And I did that for, a total of 17 years. But in that time, I got married and I got pregnant, and I ended up being a single mom at 3 months pregnant. And so I did my own entrepreneurial thing for a while, but things started shifting in my clients where they wanted to have an in-house person. And I decided that's not where I wanted to be. So I actually went back into the corporate environment as a consultant. and management. And being a consultant, I saw so much inequity. I saw unethical behavior and even illegal behavior. And I don't play that game, because there's a game you play and you just have to learn how to play it. Anyway, I ended up being a whistleblower, actually, for a huge healthcare organization, because their subsidiary was not doing the right thing. But anyway, to go fast forward, I'll back up a little bit, because when I was old enough to babysit, I was babysitting and saving my money. I had my grandmother always saying to me, "Save your money, save your money." And her voice has always been in my head.
Yeah.
However, I came from upper middle class society, but my parents weren't that good with money. But I'm glad I got the initial experience with my dad's business. And so when I went back into the corporate world, the last position that I was in as a consultant, things were going illegally, and I don't play that game, and it came out in an audit. So I tried to very subtly and softly get him to shift his mentality, and he didn't want anything to do with it. So he ended up firing me. The day I came back from vacation, he fired me. And so I consulted with 5 lawyers, and they all said, "You have a case, you have a case." So I sued and I won. So that put me on my pivot to writing 2 books. I have Wealth Transformation is on Amazon, and it's been out. I haven't pushed it, but now's the time to get it.
Yes.
And so I have 2 books. And then I started, during that time period, I was mentoring or consulting with a friend, a colleague. She's been in media, and she goes, "Oh my God, you're so passionate, Cheryl. You need to get out there and go get a TV show." So I did. I went and I did everything I could to get my TV show going, and it's about the unconscious, to raise the awareness and the unconscious around the subconscious mindset around wealth. Now, wealth covers more than just money. And that was the purpose, is that to look at wealth not just as money, but health, love. I've had 177 shows, and every one of my clients or one of my guests they have something really good to share with humanity. So I feel very blessed about that. And I'm very excited because I've turned all my shows into the audio, so they're getting ready for the podcast.
Yes. Awesome.
Yes, next week I go down to San Diego and we're going to launch the podcast. Woo!
All right, good job. Awesome.
So that's where I am, and I still do consulting, but I'm expanding now, and I'm very excited, and I'm excited to be on your show.
Well, thank you for I'm so glad that you're here, because we have so much to talk about.
Yes.
I was telling you a little bit before we started recording that about 5 to 6 years ago, I realized what money blocks were. I didn't know that I had money blocks. It was all unconscious. And the wealth mentality and abundance mentality versus the lack mentality. There's a lot to talk about, but let's start out for all the listeners that don't even know what a money block is. Can you explain that a little bit?
Oh boy, that's a can of worms, because
I know.
It starts with your early programming around money. I was fortunate to have my grandmother saying, "Save your money, save your money," and I've always been doing that. However, I had to learn some hard subjects, which I'll talk about later. But, like your parents, if they weren't wealthy in their mentality about, money and wealth, then, you hear these comments, and this goes deep in your psyche. Well, money doesn't grow on trees, or, there isn't enough.
Yes.
And I don't even like to have that in my vocabulary. There isn't enough.
Mm-hmm.
There's always enough. It's just putting things in perspective and you know, most people don't have a budget.
Mhm.
They, you know, I'm talking the majority of people don't even want to look at, the majority of people don't even want to talk about money. I mean, it should be open and flowing.
It
How,
should be.
you know, and
Yeah.
so where you are in today, you know, I always say we need to take an inventory of our thoughts and our emotions with money, with
Mhm.
how we spend things. Because I know that the media feeds in, that marketers feed in to spend, buy. And it's like, you know, I turn a lot of them off. I have for years because I don't get caught up in that.
Yeah.
Because I know, you know, I'm a pretty practical person. I am very practical. And, you know, I won't let that seep into my mind. Now, mindset is everything, actually.
I
Mindset.
agree. 100%.
You know, so having a mindset that is wealthy, and, you know, fear is only false expectations appearing real. So fear is huge. It's huge. And especially now with what's going on in our society, on the globe. I mean, I don't even like to talk about it because it is just shameful. And anyway, you know,
Yeah.
but what I realized going back in also into the corporate environment is how there's so much greed.
Mm.
Greed, you know, the push money. And you know what? Our society is out of balance.
Yeah.
They're just focusing in on money. Where's the quality of life? You know, I mean, this is a huge subject, huge. But, you know, taking inventory, getting back to the unblocking your resistance to having abundance, is taking inventory of your thoughts. Write them down. And, you know, if your parents guided you in the wrong way, then, you know, forgive them and get on with it. You know,
Right.
the kid or whoever your mentors were, you know, if they didn't give you the reinforcement that you need, you know, let it go. But take an inventory of your thoughts and your emotions.
I feel like so many of us are conditioned to think those thoughts that there's never enough. You know, money doesn't grow on trees. There's so many of those cliches, but they actually run through your mind all the time. But yet at the same time, this culture right now is all about people buy things on credit. They don't pay for them when they have the money. And so we all get into trouble. And we always think that it's going to come from somewhere, somehow it'll balance out. But if you're not talking about it, you're not realizing the thoughts that are going on in your head, the negative ones around money. I mean, I feel like there's just, it's a big topic, but if you at least start with your feelings, as you said, that's a place where we can begin to understand, okay, this is what's running through my mind. And I guess what I'm trying to say is, don't judge yourself too harshly, because I judged myself as being a jerk and an idiot for not knowing this. But a lot of this has been conditioned from when you were very, very small, from your parents, and they got it from their parents, right?
Yes. And we have the ability and the tools and the information to change that. I know I have. You know, I'm not totally where I want to be financially, but I know that I'm headed towards that way.
Right.
However, you know, one step at a time. You know, it takes one baby step sometimes at a time to unlock all that negative. I mean, I have to give credit to a philosophy church that I was involved with for over 25 years ago. And I'll never forget what I did. And I think this is a good practice for people that get stuck in negative words in their head.
Yes.
Stuck, you know, like I'm not good enough, or, you know, whatever. I don't even think that anymore at all. But what I did is I started, when I caught myself thinking negative thoughts, and I'm talking about any negative thoughts, I remember at home, I'd scream out loud, stop, because I wanted to change that thought pattern. in my mind. I want it, and I don't even want to be around negative people at all. When I listen to what's coming out of their mouths, if they're negative, I want to go the opposite direction, because that doesn't work. It doesn't work. So whatever you can do to, take inventory of your thoughts and your feelings and your actions, because spending money can be addictive. Because the media and the marketing, it feeds into that. And, just take inventory of that, and then you can change it. But write it down, because then it'll get in your body too.
Right.
Bodies remember everything. That's one thing I've been learning in the last few years. It's so important to release all that stuff out of your body.
Yes, it is.
Mind, your heart, and your body.
And that's the only way to get in alignment with your mind, body, and spirit, is to release it. And you know what? A big component of that is forgiving yourself for mistakes. I had a lot of money problems for a lot of my life. I'm not going to lie. I didn't ever want to even balance or look at my checkbook. Didn't want to talk about it. It was a sore subject because I was always overdrawn. It was a mess. And it made me feel stupid. But the other flip side of that was, if I had a bad week at work and I was frustrated and I was traveling and I thought, I deserve something nice, right? We all think like that. And I'd go out and spend it. And it is like a high, like, oh man, I got something awesome today. You feel really good about it. It's like a high, right? And then the next day, not so much. The next day you're like, oh crap, I spent too much money. What do I do now? And so what are some tips that the listeners could do if they're in that cycle to break that? Maybe one step that they could take.
Well, I had my very first show. I had a retired, and he was pretty young, a retired Barclays investment banker. And the one thing he said, and I have said this so many times, is, what can you do without?
Yes.
Can you do without? There's other ways to feed yourself, for rewarding yourself. I'm dealing with rewarding myself by eating wonderful food.
Yeah.
Too much. I'm working with that. But with the money thing, it's just, stop and take inventory. And what can you do without? And whenever you start feeling fearful, just remind yourself, this is a false expectation appearing real.
Mm-hmm.
And fear is a huge problem in our society. It really is. It isn't just you. When I feel fearful, it's very short-lived now, because I've done the work.
Yeah.
I don't spend more than I have.
Mm-hmm.
Do not spend more than you have.
Mm-hmm.
And we shouldn't live on credit.
Mm-hmm.
I am shocked. I don't know what the statistics are today. I should have researched it. But the statistics on how much credit is owed per family is like 40,000. I don't know, I don't know what it is today, but I just am like, why? You pay it off in 30 days. Then
Right.
you shouldn't be buying it.
Right.
You shouldn't be buying it. Don't, indulge. That's too much indulgence.
I think the expectations are, though, these dumb iPhones, and I have one, they're, $800, $900, right? And, people get things because they also, clothing that's designer, they want to look a certain way. There is an amount of peer pressure, especially from the women. I feel like there are always other women, look at your bag, look at your shoes. They're very judging. I've kind of gotten past that. And I think it's okay to have nice things as long as you can afford it. And it doesn't cut into something that would take away from the things that are most important, like your food, the house that you live in, if things that you can't live without, right? You've got to be able to provide for that first. So I think it's a mindset switch of thinking, as you said, do I really need this or do I want this? Because, you know what you can do? You can always come back to it. I mean, it's not going to go anywhere. You could see it today and save for it.
And then you
Come back.
might even have, at that point, you might have something even better.
Right.
I mean, I always shop for the best price. Even when I buy designer clothes, I shop for discounts. No matter what, I everywhere I go, I try to find the best price. I don't like fit. I don't feel really good consciously spending 100% on something when I know I don't have to. As far as the price goes.
I agree.
So, there are ways, and it's just education. It's education on how to, first of all, everybody should have a budget. No one likes to even talk about it.
I know.
I mean, the reality is we have to talk about it if you want. I mean, the multi-millionaires, they know exactly where their money is.
Oh yeah.
And I know exactly where my money is every day.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm financially, that's my background, so I'm always where everything is, but that's important to, and take little steps, I mean, I've been through bankruptcy twice in my life. And believe me, being a financial person, that was so humiliating.
Mm-hmm.
The first time was a divorce. I married the wrong man, and he knew how to spend money, but he didn't necessarily know how to balance that out. So it cost me a huge amount of money. And then the second time I trusted the wrong person. I trusted the wrong businessman, and I got ripped off. So, the lesson there was I didn't listen to my own intuition. If I listened to my intuition, I wouldn't have done that. But anyway, cast.
Let's talk a little bit about, though, because my husband and we've been married over 25 years. So he's the saver and I'm the spender. We are two totally opposite people in a lot of ways. And we fought a lot about money in the beginning, the first X amount of years, because of me and because of my inability to understand, because my father always bailed me out. I'll be honest with you. Okay. If I ever got in trouble financially, he'd help me out. I don't come from an affluent family, but we were fine. We were doing okay. We always had food on the table, but my father always worked 2 jobs. My mother always worked. So I have a great work ethic, but I was always taught that nice things are great to have. And I always just kind of felt like if, do it, the consequences are somebody will bail me out. Well, that's not really true once you're an adult and a big person. But I guess my point is that if there are listeners out there, they say the number one thing that most married people fight about is money.
Yeah.
So what I've come a long way, right? Because I don't do that anymore. And I'm more transparent because I always held things very secretive, because I don't want to talk about it because obviously it's a sore subject. Well, so what could listeners, how could they help each other if one's a spender and one's a saver? How could they find some common ground?
Well, I think the spender needs to look at their emotions and look at delayed gratification. Because today, especially, and I see it with millennials especially, is that they want it now.
Yeah.
And you know what? It's not healthy. I mean, it depends I know that's subjective, but, delayed gratification, I actually had a couple on my show a few years ago. They had 2 multi-million-dollar businesses and 3 houses, and they lost the multi-million-dollar businesses and 2 houses. They had 1 house left. Now, for the average persons, they would have divorced. Because I know that because we don't have the tools. Generally speaking, the tools aren't there to work through it. Well, the Bensons worked through it and then some. They wrote a book on how to thrive and they fell in love even more. And I just
Wow.
honor them. I have, actually, they're one of my first podcasts that's coming out because it's such a wonderful example, and they give details, you know, and they both have their fear and their insecurities, but because they put the relationship first,
Yeah.
it worked out, you know, because
Right.
when you're open and you've been married for over 20 years,
Yep.
well, there's a give and take, and you got to keep your mind open, you
Right.
know, absolutely
Right.
open to change.
And open to tools, because tools are really necessary to get to where you want to go. So the delaying of the gratification is one thing. And like I said, you can always save for it. It'll always be there probably. Most of these things don't go away. And the other part of that is learning how to balance your checkbook. I know that sounds so simple, but for me personally, I didn't even want to look at that thing, because when you're overdrawn and you have creditors calling you every day, it is the worst place to be. It's so uncomfortable, and you panic. And then the fear gets even bigger, because now you're like, holy cow, like, what am I going to do now? I mean, I'm sure you've had clients that you've helped through that.
Well, and myself.
Yeah.
I do know, and it's taken me, you know, several years to get to the point where I am today. But it's because I always kept my eye on my goal. And, you know, thinking positive, and you're not alone. You're not alone. There are so many people that are suffering out there financially. I mean, especially in the area where I live just north of San Francisco. And San Francisco now is like I mean, it's absurd. For one bedroom, it was like $4,000 a month. It's absurd. But
Crazy.
the tech industry has driven it up.
Yeah.
And, you know, a lot of them can't do it anymore, you know? And so it's being realistic. It's being practical. And, you know, if you have emotional issues around money, honey, you gotta heal it. You've got to look at it. You've got to, you know, recognize it and not be in denial. And then if you write things down, you know, baby steps, you don't have to do it all at once, you know.
Right.
This is part of loving yourself unconditionally.
Right.
Not judging yourself,
Right.
just going forward. Okay, this is a situation and I've got to deal with it. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
So I mean, the fact that I was ripped off, and I won't even tell you all the stuff that came down. I'll never forget that as long as I live. And I got sick, you know, physically I got sick because it was just so overwhelming.
Yeah.
And I did have a good support system that I could fall back on, not financially, but at least she helped me have a roof over my head, because I didn't have a roof over my head.
Wow.
I mean, and you know, so I mean, I've been through it. I was in my first bankruptcy. It was with my husband, and basically I only had 6 cents to my name.
Wow.
And I was in Las Vegas I was starting a business, and you know, he majorly well, it didn't work out. So I was stuck, but I had friends. And I fortunately had some things that I could sell, because I was 6 cents, and I got down on my hands and knees and I cried and I asked God to help me.
Yeah.
That's all I could do, because I was at the bottom.
Yeah.
So, you know, hopefully anybody that's listening won't have to go through that.
Right. Right.
But the truth is, you need to mentally and emotionally look at your situation in a realistic, and even if you have a partner, you know, if you do have a partner, then have your partner sit down with you. And if your partner is a saver, then, you know, let him help you. Or, you know, maybe that communication isn't there, or if it is, then get outside help. You know, have somebody help you.
I feel like you need to forgive yourself. I need to forgive myself, because I made so many mistakes for so long, and that made me feel like I was a terrible person because I didn't get it. And why does everyone else get it but me? And like you said, you do feel alone, And you know what else? You feel ashamed because it's you think you should be able to have this by now. I'm an adult. Like, what's wrong with me? And so all of that fear and shame just kind of builds up. And I do think you're right. And we need to talk about it. You need to write your feelings down around some of these issues that come up. But also, people need to be taught. We don't teach this stuff in school. People, I think we should. It's a huge part of your whole life.
That was one of my goals, because I have taught a class in elementary school. One of my goals was to get the curriculum into public schools.
Yeah.
No one's talking about it until it's too late.
Right.
And so, again, taking baby steps. Get out of denial. Write it down. If you don't want to share it with anybody at first until you're okay with it, write it down. Write it down. I spent too much money and now I owe blah, 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 and I don't know how I'm going to pay for it. So, you just need to talk about it and not be in denial.
Yeah.
Baby steps. Baby steps.
What are your feelings on a budget? If somebody does what you say and they write it down, they're in denial, but now they've forgiven themselves and they say, okay, this is where I'm at. I know I need to change and I will change, but it's a process, right? Yes. How can they cut back without it feeling so dramatic and impactful in terms of saying, well, maybe I need to put myself on a budget?
Well, finding another avenue to reward yourself. Switching your mindfulness, switching it to, oh, okay, this is one thing I learned through Deepak Chopra, is you can switch your mindset to another direction. What's your creative outlet? What's yours? What do you like doing?
Me, I love to ride my horse. I love to write, all that fun stuff.
Another way for you is to go ride your horse. Divert your attention from spending money to doing an art project, to doing sewing, to do cooking, to do something that that you're putting your energy into instead of that.
Yeah.
It's very simple concept, but it's not always easy, because it depends how deep your financial or your emotion is towards that, that trigger in money.
I mean, there's a lot of layers to this, as you know, that the listeners might not know. And it goes deep because you've learned this from when you were very, very small, and it's a learned behavior, but that's a good thing, because that means you can learn to undo it, unlearn it, and learn new tactics.
And that's why I said, a little while ago, it's important to take inventory of your thoughts.
Yeah.
And
Yes.
Your actions, your thoughts, your actions, your emotions around money.
Yeah.
Because when you can see it in the truth, then you can change it.
Let's talk about this, because I just thought of this. Here's a big one. Money is the root of all evil, which, as you probably know, is not the original full quote, but that's all that people remember. And then people think money is evil. Money is really just a tool, right?
It's energy. It's an exchange. In fact, in my book, which is Wealth Transformation, I have the history of money in there and how, it was bartering. Actually, the very first exchange was bartering. And a lot of people have gotten back to that too.
Yes.
I mean,
yeah.
Because of what's going on in our globe financially, and I don't even want to talk about what's going on. Oh my God, it's too stressful.
Exhausting. Yeah.
So, I still come back to money's not evil. It's the emotional, mental, mindfulness that we put towards the money. I mean, that's why we're in the state that we're in.
Right.
Greed, money. It's that being in love with money. It's the people's attitude is evil towards money.
Right.
It's not money is evil. It's just an exchange.
And here's the other Here's the other part of that for creatives, especially healers, writers, speakers, artists, entrepreneurs. They think that their money, that they don't put a big value on what they do, even though what they do is so important, because they've got this vow that, they should not charge a lot because it's unethical. But the truth is, if you want to help other people to the fullest potential, you need to be full too, right? Your cup needs to be full.
Absolutely.
So how can you help somebody if you don't have your tank full?
That's right. That's exactly. And that is literal and also figuratively speaking.
Yes.
That is a great perspective, because, I've had to deal with that myself, with the value. I mean, really, how much is it worth? It's what you put, the worth that you put on it and that someone will pay.
Right.
I say, I think I'm worth $1,000 an hour. I
Yep.
don't even like to put that, limit on myself. But,
Right.
we're human. So, so it's like, okay, so it's stretching your mindset around it. Value yourself. We need to value ourselves so much more than what society is supporting us with.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Now let's talk. I just wrote about this in a blog post, and it's called the Success Waterline. Are you familiar with that? I'm sure you are.
The waterline. Yes.
Yeah. So basically, in a nutshell, everyone has a success and a financial waterline, a place where you feel comfortable with a certain amount of money, putting out your worth to the world, whether you're an entrepreneur or whether you're working the 9 to 5. I'm just going to pick a number. Let's just pretend it's $1,000 a week. Let's just pretend. So let's just say you want to go to the next level in your life, and you go out of your comfort zone, and you want to make $3,000 a week instead of $1,000. So what you've been doing will not get you to that $3,000 mark, but you'll go out of your comfort zone, you'll try something new, and then what happens is a lot of times people self-sabotage. I did this for years because they don't understand that financial and success waterline is in your mind and your body, and it wants to keep you safe, and therefore you're going to self-sabotage yourself and come back to that $1,000 waterline.
And that is your ego. It's, if you want to get down to the bottom line, it's your ego, because your ego wants control. And if it doesn't have control, it's almost, it's inferior. It doesn't want to feel inferior. But when you have your spiritual, mental mindfulness, it doesn't matter.
Right. Right. Because I found that the spiritual drives, it drives so much of what I do, and I think what you do, when you're going to give. When I wake up in the morning and I think, who can I help today? How can I give? Who can I serve? Versus, I'm going to get some money today. Who can I get some money from? And you see it in all the videos. It's all people talk about. You see it everywhere you look. It's all about greed. And as you said, getting more and more and more. You got to have the best car, the biggest house, all this junk. It's so stupid. But it's easy to say, and it's hard sometimes to break out of that. But I found that simple thought of, I'm going to serve, who can I help today? So simple. It might just be buying somebody a bagel. It's just really easy stuff.
Pay it
right?
forward. Pay it forward. What I do first thing in the morning is I give gratitude.
Me too.
That is my mantra. Is the very first thing, I pray, I meditate, and I do my mantra.
Me too. Yep.
Gratitude. And then I can give freely.
Right.
When it's the right situation.
Which is beautiful, because gratitude raises your vibration faster than anything else. Love, gratitude. And there's so much to be grateful for. You can just be grateful for the people in your life. It doesn't have to be, you might have a sucky job, but you can be happy for your health and if you just look around. I used to be one of those people who got up in the morning, talk about mindsets, and I'd be like, oh, first of all, I'm overtired. This day's going to suck. I'm going to have to get through traffic. This is all before I even, brush my teeth. So if you're thinking along those lines, by the time you get to work, you're already in the mind frame of everything's going to stink, right? Versus getting up and saying, I say now every day, today's going to be an awesome day. I can't wait to see what happens. It's going to be awesome. And it sounds at first, even after all this time, it sounds a little bit hokey, and I do have a little resistance, but it's like a muscle. And the more that you say it, make it a mantra every day, the stronger it becomes. And it does change your whole mindset around how to help others, right?
Absolutely. And it does take discipline. It takes discipline to do that. And repetition. I don't know. I started writing a book about being stubborn. Humans are stubborn.
Very.
Oh my God.
Oh yeah.
What is it? The primal brain, the primitive dinosaur brain gets, everybody's built differently, in the way their attributes show up. But it takes discipline to change something. I mean, the learning that I have done is it takes about 30 days of repetition every day to change a habit. And I don't know if that's true with everybody. I don't necessarily think it is, because some people can change faster than that. Some people take longer than that. So, but it's repetition.
And I think you can use that for when you set a budget for yourself, and you could start very small and think, well, if I go to Starbucks every day and I get something there and it's $4, let's just pretend that we have a lot of credit and we're in the hole, and we're in that place that's not fun. If you said to yourself, I want to start, I am where I am, I accept that, I want to change it, what would be the best baby step that they could take to begin that process of building up their wealth, which would build up their mindset and positivity?
And what can I do without?
Mm-hmm.
What can I do without? Can I do without that Starbucks? I mean, I go right to the heart of things. I mean, that's just who I am. And I found out some things about Starbucks, and I don't even patronize them. But I don't drink coffee anymore. So.
I don't drink coffee either. I just made it but I was thinking maybe they could take that money, even if it's only $4, and start putting it away as a experience.
Put it in a jar, put it in the bank, put it somewhere, and it'll accumulate pretty darn fast.
Yeah. Yeah.
By the end of the week, if they're spending $20, $30 a week, I mean, put that away.
Yeah.
And that, I think that'll be the fastest way to elevate your motivation and your mindset, is to watch that grow.
Yeah.
Because it's progressive, we're all we're all progressively working, or what I'm trying to say. So, if we do that, because you need to see some positive reaction.
Yes.
A response, not reaction, but response to that.
Yes, yes.
So baby steps, and it's true. I mean, I listened to the ad on Pandora, and they said, well, you're spending $4 or $5 for coffee at Starbucks, and you could be putting this into Pandora and not have any advertising.
Wow.
That's another approach,
Yeah. Yeah.
Listen to music. I mean, there's so many. It's finding your own muse.
Right.
Finding your muse, what makes you feel good, and then just keep doing it. And that all applies to everything in life.
Yeah. Have you found, and this is going to sound like an off-the-wall question, but have you found that working out helps people with their mindset? Because I found that not even, like in search of the perfect body, I'm talking about the discipline of going every day or every other day, being on a schedule, and how that helps me clear out the cobwebs somehow. It gets my neurons in my brain firing. It seems to make everything more positive for me. Have you found that?
Oh my God. Well, let me tell you, when I was 30, I had 2 ruptured discs, and I was working for myself, and I had to crawl on the floor, crawl to the bathroom. I had to have my neighbor, I had to crawl to her car to take me to emergency. And anyway, I got through it, of course, but I was fearful and in pain at that point. And, you know, it's once I got through that, it was like, okay, I made it. This is another milestone.
Yeah.
This is a milestone. You know, give yourself credit for each time you're doing something, even if it's just one day without Starbucks coffee or Pete's or whatever coffee.
Yes.
You know, one day it's like, okay, my reward is I'm putting that in the bank. I'm putting
Yes.
it in my safe or wherever you store your money.
Yes.
You know? I mean, that it's baby steps, and then before you know it, you will be taking larger steps towards the mindfulness, because it's all mindfulness.
It's all mindfulness, and that's what I'm teaching this year is all mindfulness and being present. That's what the horses help me with too. They do that better than anybody. They're the master teachers. They're just, they're just amazing, and I give them so much credit because that's what they do, and they just help humans.
Yep,
and it's not just with PTSD and autism, and it's with being mindful, and only with that self-awareness and being able to be present and kind of accepting where you are. Because for so many years I was in denial. I didn't even want to talk about it. If you don't even want to talk about it, how can you even get to the root of it? As you said, you can't.
That's the key.
Yeah.
Being able to not be in denial. You know, I always say that medical doctors, they're masters of denial.
Oh, they are.
Sorry, doctors, you're not all like that. But, you know, it's changing your mindfulness, and it's not that difficult. But you've got to have the intention to change.
Yes.
The intention to change, and then just take baby steps.
Yes. Yes. Every day. I throw all my change. You know, when I go to the store, I get change. I throw it all in a big bin, and I'm telling you, within like a month or month and a half, I have like 30 or 40 bucks in there. Sometimes I even had 60 bucks. Just loose change.
Yeah. Well,
so it does add up.
It's you know, it's baby steps. Definitely that get you to the long-term goals.
I feel like you went through some painful experiences, but that puts you in a really great place to help other people who are going through that. Because only if you've gone through bankruptcy can you say, I know this landscape really well, and I know I can get you out of this.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah, absolutely. And you know, it just takes intention to heal.
Mm-hmm.
And if you have the intention, then you can do it. But like I said, it just takes baby steps.
Mm-hmm.
And I think journaling, I did journaling for a long time. I still do when I have a compelling dream. I write my dreams down.
Oh yeah, that's a good thing to do. Yeah.
But I don't journal every day like I did for so many years, because it helps you sort through. But getting back to working out, I had 2 ruptured discs, and I made a pact with myself that I would exercise for the rest of my life. And in the last 6 months, 5 months, I did gain some weight, and I wasn't doing the exercise like I normally do because of, well, I ended up driving for Uber, and so I could get guests for my show.
Oh, I see. Yeah.
And I met a tremendous amount of people, and people in high places.
Uh-huh.
I wasn't exercising. So I've had this hip flexor issue because I got in a bike accident about 4 or 5 years ago, and I don't think I totally healed it. But getting back to exercise, I bought myself a recumbent bike, and I'm doing up to 10, 12 miles a day.
Wow.
Because it releases endorphins.
Yeah, it does.
It's so good for our chemistry. And if you're trying to lose weight or even just maintain, because of the chemical reaction that goes on in your body, in your brain.
Yeah.
It's so important.
Yeah, it's huge.
I'm probably doing it more than the average person because I have a goal. I mean, and I'm doing it. But it's so important to have, balance.
Right. Right.
Balance.
It's like that the mind, body, spirit balance. If you can do the gratitude in the morning, and then you are throughout the day doing those baby steps that you talked about, and then also combine that with working out, and it could be something fun. I mean, you could play volleyball with a friend. There's so many fun things you can do. You can take spinning classes, whatever you like. That's that mind, body, spirit alignment that puts you in the perfect place to receive great things, right?
I'm laughing because I just started last week. Have you ever heard of pickleball?
Yes, I have. I have not seen it, but everybody loves it.
I played it last year with an older friend of mine, and I really thought it was so much fun. I mean, you can't help but laugh and have fun. So there's a pickleball gym. It's not too far from here. So I went there last week. It was pouring down rain, but I was tired. I'd done 10 miles on my bike, and I just thought, oh, I'll just go check it out. Well, I'm going to go back and do the pickleball because it's fun. Anyway.
That's cool.
So, to do things that are fun, life isn't all drudge.
No, it's not supposed to be.
It's mindset, I mean, like I haven't done my taxes yet, but I'm going to be doing them this weekend, and I just put all my energy into it, and I get them done, and then file them.
Yeah.
I mean, I do not like filing late because
I don't either.
The IRS any excuse
No.
to come and audit me because they can go back from the year that you file. They can go back 3 years and longer if you're an entrepreneur. So anyway.
No, I love that. I love that mind, body, spirit thing. And I've had people that have told me they've fallen in love with this pickleball. I haven't seen it yet, but they've explained it to me. But I guess I'll have to video it on YouTube. But they're telling me it's so fun. It's amazing.
It's like playing tennis with a paddle and a ball that has holes in it. I mean, it's funny.
Aww.
But anyway, that's just one thing, and the weather, well, it's supposed to be getting nicer, but it keeps raining. Let's see, you're in Connecticut, right?
No, I'm in Myrtle Beach.
Myrtle Beach, okay.
Yep. I used to live in Connecticut, but I escaped because I couldn't take the cold anymore. So
okay.
It's pretty decent here now. I think it's going to be 75 or 80 in the next couple days. And it's like 65 now, so it's really nice.
Well, we've had 140 plus inches of rain here. I'm in just north of San Francisco. I mean, we've had so much rain, and 2 years ago we had over 200%. So I don't, and that's a whole nother subject. I've had 5 shows on geoengineering and 5G because that's what's causing all this.
Wow.
Modification. Anyway, that's a whole nother subject.
Yeah, I know. Well, I love having you on my show. I can't thank you enough. You've given some really valuable tips. Where can people find you on the web?
Oh, well, www.CherylScheurer.com, and it's CHERYL, S as in Sam, CHEURER.com. And they can also go to Wake Up with Dr. Cheryl on YouTube to see some of those. And if they get on my website, you go down to the lower left corner, put your information in, and I will, for the cost of well, I think it's $7.95, I will send you my first book called Wealth Transformation.
Oh, perfect. Awesome. I'm going to have all the links below so people can click on the links. What do you have coming up over the next couple of months in terms, are you offering personal coaching or workshops? What do you have going on?
Well, I am in the process of actually getting 2 courses, online courses.
Okay.
And because I've gotten involved with the New Media Summit, and I'm also in the Icon Maker, next week I go down to San Diego, and we're going to launch my podcast.
Yes.
Yes. I'm
awesome.
very excited. And the thing is I'm all ready for that because I already have 177 shows that I can put on the podcast, but in the interim, I will interview, like I'll interview you.
Yeah. Yes.
And so I'm doing that. And I mean, I'm just holding on to the brass ring right now.
Me too.
Because I'm excited for what's coming about and getting out. And I've been pushing Kelly.
Yeah.
I'm like the racehorse that's behind the gate, and I'm just waiting for that gate to open.
Yes.
This new endeavor that's happening, and it's very exciting because I've been preparing myself for 7 years or almost 7 years for my TV show.
Yes.
I've had some absolutely wonderful guests, international guests, and some I've had historical guests on. So I'm very excited to get this launched. And yes, I will do coaching. I do coaching. So yes, I'm open to that as well.
It's going to be fabulous. I know it's going to be great. I think it's going to be very successful. And you're lucky because you've got all this content that you can put there. So that's perfect. It's like a perfect marriage at the right time. It's amazing.
Well, it's timely for me because I've been working really hard.
Yeah.
And, being a producer and a host, and getting the guests, and everything. I mean, I just feel blessed.
Yeah, me too. Me too. Me too. And it's so great because it's like you don't know what's going to happen and you don't have to worry about the outcome. It'll happen, but just being grateful that you are where you are. And it's just, as you said, it's just one step at a time, just one step at a time.
One step at a time. And that's what for everybody,
Yeah.
And love yourself unconditionally. And what that means is stop judging, stop criticizing, and just hold yourself in that love light.
Mm-hmm.
We don't get it enough.
No, we don't. We don't.
We do it ourselves.
That's an important tool. If you can give that to yourself, so much will change for you. I truly believe that. And it starts out with baby steps, like you said, but if you can just begin that process, everything shifts.
Yes, it does.
Well, thank you for being here. I love talking with you. I love your energy. I just think you have so much to offer, and I'm so happy. I can't wait to see some of the successes that you're going to have this year. So thank you for being here. I really appreciate it.
Julie, thank you so much, and especially having the opportunity to be on your show. And bless you.
Thank you. Yay! All right. Well, thank you. You guys can find Dr. Cheryl Scheurer, correct? Scheurer. All her links are below, so please feel free to visit her website, get her book, because I think there's a lot there. We only skimmed the surface. We only had an hour, and we just touched on some of the wonderful opportunities that she'll give you to really change your mindset around wealth, around money, kind of make it fun for yourself, not a chore, and all the great things will happen for you. So thank you so much.
Amen.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Awesome.